went through the windshield at the front of the car. The car is coming at the police officer, in this case an ICE officer. The bullet goes through the windshield because the car is coming at the officer. You cannot shoot the windshield from the side of the car. This agent, and I'm going to show you the picture right now, this agent, his life was threatened by a 37-year-old woman, we don't know her name yet, a wine mom, presumably, a Karen, presumably, an awful, affluent, white, urban liberal. And I don't wish death upon anybody. I don't wish death upon her. But the thing is, when you come for our cops and you come to kill them with that 2,000 pounds of steel, you're going to get shot and killed. And that's exactly what happened. Here's the picture I want to show you. You can see right there with the arrow pointing to the cop. Right there, she's going at him. This wine mom, this Karen, or whoever she is, we don't know who she is, but look at it. She is driving towards that officer. She chose to go towards him. That is a deadly weapon. When you come at an ICE officer or a police officer or a sheriff's deputy or FBI agent, they're going to shoot you. And they shoot to stop the threat. Stopping the threat is center mass. Apparently, she was shot in the face from what some witnesses say, but we don't know the facts yet. But there's her car is literally going at the ICE agent. She was ordered. They came up to her and they said, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. She did not get out of the car. He went and grabbed the handle. The handle was locked. She then hit the gas and went at the ICE officer, who then popped her and dropped her. You don't take 2,000 pounds of steel, which is a deadly weapon, and come at our officers. You are coming at them, and you will get shot, and you might die. This woman, I strongly believe, we don't know who her name is, where she's from, but I strongly believe this woman, like most of these crazy leftists, they think, and they're all over the place, chasing ICE is their new professional thing. And I believe this is an affluent, white, urban liberal awful, because they have time to do this. And they have miserable husbands who have a miserable wife who all she does, this is her religion, this is her faith. She chases around officers, terrorizes them or stalks them, etc. She faffoed. So when you come at that officer, there's only one thing that's going to happen. They're going to shoot to stop the threat. And I want to say it again. The front windshield, the bullet went through the front windshield. If he's on the side, he can't get it to the front windshield. This is obvious. Now, we have Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, who came out and disgustingly blamed ICE. I saw the video. Moments ago, we had Tim Wallace come out and say, I saw the video. They both are blaming ICE. They want another St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, riot, who, of course, he died in the custody of Minneapolis police from a drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police. This is literally a St. George Floyd II, blessed be his name, possible riot. Mike Tobin, the reporter for Fox News, is on the ground there. When he first got there was 100 people. He got up to 400 people. You saw the people immediately after the woman was shot and killed. You saw the officers, the ICE officers, tell people to get back. You saw a large black man come at the cop and grab his gun, not a handgun, not a gun, but a tear gas weapon, and he pulled up and shot him right in the face. That's exactly right. You touch that weapon, you go for that cop, you're going to get popped in the freaking face. They were doing a targeted action. What does that mean? That means they're going after a specific person who may be a criminal, a violent criminal. We don't know. Targeted action. This woman interfered. Oh, I know what I wanted to get at the beginning about this. She thought, I think all these Karens, all these wine moms, she thought and they think they can push ICE around. They think they can get away with it because they're a white, liberal, affluent, whatever. They think they can do this. She thought she could get away with it. She thought she could pull away. I'm just an innocent upper-class white lady from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I can go at a cop. He knows, he sees me. I'm not a threat. So I'm playing a game here. You can't play a game with our cops. You cannot play a game with our cops. She is dead because she thought she could get away with this. She is dead because, you see this. And I have the privilege, as you know, I'm from Chicago. I fill in Chicago all the time. You see this all the time. I saw this in Portland, Oregon. I fill in Portland, Oregon as well. And I call it the big lie there in Portland, Oregon. There's a 17-year-old kid who, on lunch with his dad's nice truck, drove off the campus and saw another person chasing ICE. He jumped in with Dad's truck and chased them and then boxed them in. ICE came up to the car with the 17-year-old, said, get out of the car, get out of the car. He wouldn't. They smashed the window and dragged him out. And everybody at that high school in Portland, Oregon, everybody there, all the leftists came out and they said, they abducted him. They abducted him. They disappeared him. And they pretended like he was going to McDonald's to grab lunch and was abducted by ICE. It's the big lie. These lies and these sick politicians, I'm going to play Jacob Frey, but they are literally putting our ICE officers in danger. And I'm going to tell you something else. This might surprise you a little bit, but Tricia McLaughlin for the ICE spokesperson, she's like, well, there's a 1,300% increase in our ICE officers, getting violence. I'm going to tell you this. I don't care about those numbers. Do you know why I don't care about those numbers? I don't like the numbers, obviously, but do you know why I don't care about them? I care about each specific case. The left, and the reason why I don't care about the numbers is because the left doesn't care about them. And she's preaching to the choir. Those numbers mean nothing. Each individual case means everything to me. In this case, this woman got herself killed. Let's show the picture again. She got herself killed. She chose to drive into an ICE officer and she got shot and killed. So there it is again. There's the ICE officer she went right at with her car, expecting him to jump out of the way and not shoot her. This is a mother. I'm sure she's a wine mom. And a Karen, I don't know, but this to me is a mother. Look at that car, too. You look at that car, that's a wine mom. That's an awful right there with her Honda Pilot going at a freaking cop. If that was a Minneapolis cop, you would have shot her as well. She hit him. And by the way, Mayor Jacob Frey and Tim Walz saying the same thing. I saw the video. There are 15 videos. There are 15 videos that are out there, 15 different versions. I saw the video. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Why don't you look at the other 14? So anyways, I am disgusted. I think that Mayor Frey and, or Fry, however you pronounce it, and the Tim Walz is thanking God this happened as much as it's horrible that somebody's dead. He is thanking, guys, oh my gosh, God, thank you. Now I can play victim and attack and protect my innocent illegals and my innocent people that are terrorizing and trying to kill ICE agents and run them over. He is kissing that ground, thanking Almighty Allah, I'm sure, right, that this happened because it takes him off the front page with the fraud. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Let's play Makeup Mayor Jacob Frey. This is filthy and disgusting, and if you don't like the F word, then tune out. He's about to drop the F word, and it's not bleep because we're on a podcast. I want you to hear the venom from Mayor Jacob Frey, or Fry, however he pronounces it. It's F-R-E-Y. Here he is saying ICE got the F out, full words.
Better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
This is like a 14-year-old on a street corner. This is like a 12-year-old on 6th grade on the playground. This is like a high schooler, yelling at somebody on school grounds or something, acting like a punk. He's a fool. He's a man-child. Let's play that again and continue on with the rest of what he said.
Better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead.
What Jacob Frey and Tim Walz are saying is, leave us in our shroud of darkness. Leave us with our $9 billion or more of fraud. Leave us with our naturalized Somalis who are ripping us off blind. Leave us with our illegals that rape, kill, pillage. Leave us our shroud of darkness. Let us be to ourselves with our wicked and fraudulent state. Get out. We like the fraud. We like the theft. We've covered up for the Somali community, ripping us off to the tune of billions for years and years and years. It has worked very well. Get out. They want their shroud of darkness. Well, here's the problem. You don't run federal law. You can't tell the feds what to do, and you certainly can't continue the fraud you've done. You guys are complicit. You're part of the whole problem. You have blessed the sin. You have blessed the theft. And they literally want that shroud, that darkness, to go back to what it was before we elected Trump. And by the way, I voted for this. I voted for ICE to enforce the law. I voted for when somebody comes at ICE when they're doing their lawful job, they have to defend themselves. I voted for this enforcement. This is what the country voted for. You may not like it. That's fine. But we voted for this. Let's go on. Continue on with what Mayor Jacob Frey says. I'll rewind it 5 seconds or so.
Economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. Better, but I do have a message for our country.
Okay, there you go. A little edit problem. So they're not leaving. They're not going to go anywhere. This is a righteous shoot. Oh, the rumblings are now that the governor or that Hennepin County prosecutor, which is in Minneapolis, all these people might be trying to charge the feds. They cannot charge him. The feds can give this guy immunity. They're going to give this guy immunity. He did his job properly. These sons of bees are going to go after this guy. They're going to dox him. They're going to do everything they can. This is why they wear the face masks. They must, because stuff can happen. You have a freaking middle or upper middle class mom, a crazy Karen who thought she could play and go at our cop with deadly force and get away with it because she's most likely a white middle class or upper middle class mom. She lost because she's a fool. And again, it's sickening when here's what Governor Tim Walz said his first thing before he had the press conference a few minutes ago. I think it's just ended, but quote, I've seen the video, Tim Walz says, the video, as if there's only one video, there's 15. I've seen the video. Don't believe this propaganda machine. The state will ensure there's a full, fair, expeditious investigation to ensure accountability and justice. Yeah, you're going to provide justice to the feds doing their job properly. And this is just like the big lie that I told you about with Portland, Oregon, where everybody lies. Everybody that's on the left in Minneapolis, St. Paul lies. And they promulgate a lie. They push it. They repeat it over and over again. And I'm going to tell you something else. We could be seeing another Michael Brown, gentle giant. Michael Brown in Ferguson, the lie of hands up, don't shoot. It's hands up, don't loot. Michael Brown, committed strong arm robbery. Massive. He's not a gentle giant. He's a violent thug giant who strong arm robbed a convenience store owner to steal blunts because he was smoking weed. Had so much weed in his system. He was at the level of hallucinations and paranoia. He then tried to kill a police officer in Ferguson, and when he reached into the squad car to grab his gun so he could kill and murder that cop, the web of his finger, the pin from the firing, hit his web of his finger as his hand was in the car trying to grab the officer's gun. He was then shot and killed because Michael Brown was a thug. He was a violent, not a gentle giant. He was a violent giant thug who tried to kill a cop. He, too, played around. Doesn't matter. The truth is not going to matter to the left. Not in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I fear the worst. I fear they're going to riot. Tampon Tim said that he's already given the warning for the National Guard to be deployed. Jacob Frey is the mayor of Minneapolis who humps the leg of Somalis who rip off this nation and his state. He's the guy who literally did not stop in the city of Minneapolis from burning to the ground, and Governor Walz is the guy who did not stop and did not call the Guard for 1 or 2 extra days. And in fact, the head of the Minnesota National Guard testified a year later when they were breaking this all down in the state House and state government and public testimony in the state House and state Senate that the Minnesota National Guard head said that, yes, we could have stopped the precinct from burning down to the ground, the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis, had we been deployed a day or 2 earlier. Tim Walz and his wife wanted to, as you know, Gwen, wanted to have their windows open so they could smell the burning tires. So here we are on that. I have a whole bunch more on this to get into, and then we're going to get into Dallas. The Dallas Morning News writing a long piece today about how all the illegals that are getting arrested, they're not all criminals. Most of them are not criminals. I have a lot to say about that. But let's go through the rest with Minneapolis, St. Paul. And what very well could be a riot. They're letting the people march. The Minneapolis police and the state troopers are there. They're letting the people march. They're now marching to the north. As I said, it went from 100 to 400. This easily could turn into riots tonight, and I would not be surprised. This is, it's so sickening. By the way, even a leftist mayor like Jacob Frey, who hates ICE, even a leftist governor who literally is being taken down by his own fraud and blessing a fraud, they could totally disagree with what ICE did. They could think it was a homicide, or you know what I mean, that he was a murder. But they could still say, I'm waiting until we get all the facts. That's what a responsible leftist governor would do. I'm waiting until I get all the facts. These SOBs, this is this hardcore, crazed leftist ideology in the state of Minneapolis, in the state of Minnesota and Minneapolis. This is some vile crap. By the way, there was an illegal, I think it was a Laotian illegal that was taken into custody in St. Paul, Minnesota, just a week or two ago, and he was shot. Officers shot at him because he was attempting, I think, to hit the officers with his car as well. So this is not a new phenomenon in any way, shape, or form as of late. Hennepin County seeks, quote, transparent investigation, reports. This is from, I think, the Star Tribune in Minneapolis. Hennepin County attorney says she's pushing hard for a local investigation. That's where they're going to go with the whole St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, or the Michael Brown, the fake gentle giant. Federal agents fire chemical irritants at protesters in south of Minneapolis. I mentioned that one. The guy was hit in the face. Minneapolis police chief feared surge. Here we go. The police chief. He was apologizing to Somali people. If you saw that viral video, and he was apologizing to Somali people and saying, I'm with you, and he was speaking in Somali, kissing their butt. They literally laugh at us. They own all the fraud in the world, and they laugh at us. In fact, let's go to an amazing takedown. This is an amazing takedown by a congressman from Texas who was so incredible. I love this guy, Brandon Gill. Anytime he's a guest on a show, anytime Congressman Brandon Gill from Texas is doing anything with testimony, the guy is absolutely incredible. You must watch him. Here he is today, ripping the crap out of this panel of people that were speaking about Minnesota fraud. They were invited to testify in front of, I think, the House Judiciary Committee. Here we go.
Mr. Balu, again, thank you for being here. Let me ask you, does large-scale Somali immigration make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Certainly stronger.
Certainly stronger. Do you know what percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on food stamps?
No.
54%. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Well, to be clear, a majority of the...
It's 7%. There's a big difference.
54% of Somali are on food stamps compared to 7% of the rest of Minnesota. That's almost 50% higher. Who's the fraudulent one? Who is the drag on society? Who is laughing at us? Let's go on with more.
Difference between 54% and 7%, is there not?
Excuse me, sir, could I answer the question?
Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority...
The number is 18%.
So 18% of Minnesota natives are on Medicaid compared to 73 Somali. Again, you have almost a 50% higher rate. The Somalis are fleecing this country. They laugh at us. They expect it. Tim Walz was right when I played you audio ad infinitum of him saying they need to be educated. They need to be taught. Why would we bring in anybody if a whole nation thinks that literally fraud is normal? The default is to steal. That literally is what Tim Walz said over and over again in this 1 minute, 20-second clip I played for you before. He thinks we need to teach them. This cookie jar here, okay, this is my cookie jar. You cannot steal. No, bad. Here's my wallet. You can't take from my wallet. That's bad. See that? Take from it? No, bad. What in God's name are we bringing in people that need to be taught that fraud is not okay? It gets worse, though. Here, listen.
That's quite an astounding difference. I think we would agree.
Can I answer the question, please?
Let me ask you one more, and then we can go on to that. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. What about, let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
The number is 78%. So even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Again, you're using
Non-Somali immigrant-headed households.
If I can just answer the question, when you're using the phrase native Minnesotans, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are as Minnesotan as any of us. They were born in the United States. It's only 8,000 of the 108,000 Somalis.
And nevertheless, the welfare usage is astoundingly different. Let me ask you again, does that make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Again, I'd like the opportunity to answer the question here.
Go for
So, again, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are born in the United States, as I understand it.
Okay, well, what percentage of working-age Somalians who have been in the U.S. for 10 years or more, how many of them speak English very well?
I don't know.
About half. The answer is about half. That seems pretty low, doesn't it?
Half speak English after years and years. 78% on welfare after 10 years. When 81% are first on welfare. I mean, this is disgusting. That is why Tim Walz, as sad as it is that somebody was shot and killed, he's thanking God somebody was shot and killed today by ICE because it is his only saving grace. This man is going down. But this is so disgusting. Let's go back. Minneapolis police chief feared a surge of federal agents would lead to tragedy. What do you mean you feared that it would lead to tragedy? So you're saying it's extortion is what you're saying. The city of Minneapolis, through its officials, are saying that it's extortion. In other words, you can't come here to take that shroud of darkness off of us and get the evil out of here and expose all the fraud. You can't do that, or else we'll come for you, and you'll be forced to use deadly force, and when you do, we're going to attack you and blame you. It's extortion. In an interview with WCCO, this is from CBS 2, WCCO, I think it's CBS 2 or whatever, in Minneapolis. WCCO Minneapolis, Jacob Frey said the goal of the federal operations is chaos and terrorizing people in political theater. Shame on him. Shame on him. It's just sick. It's disgusting. That shroud of darkness I keep referring to, he'd rather keep the molesters, the rapists, the drug kingpins, the terrorists in his community than have us go with our federal agents. Minneapolis Mayor Frey demands ICE leave the city immediately. That was his first initial reaction. And let's see what else I got here. Minneapolis this is great. Minneapolis city council member Jason Chavez says the ICE agent that shot somebody should be arrested. Again, this is this insane rhetoric that sides with people that are trying to kill our ICE officers or run them over. Chavez said he wants to encourage residents to patrol our neighborhoods. We need community patrols on the streets preventing the kidnapping of our neighbors. There's the big lie, the kidnapping of our neighbors. Here's a little bit more, and here's what... there's one of these stories I'm going to share with you. I think it's this one from CBS News, which is WCCO TV in Minneapolis. They literally call the woman who was trying to run over the ICE officer the victim over and over again. WCCO CBS TV in Minneapolis. Quote, McLaughlin, the spokesperson for ICE, claims the victim was one of these violent rioters. Victim. Witnesses at the scene tell WCCO the victim was a woman. A victim? So if I try to run over an officer, he shoots and kills me, I'm the victim? Unbelievable. Disgusting. And I'm going to tell you something else. All these people that are against ICE and against what we're doing, illegal immigration is completely, is not a victimless crime. I mentioned this yesterday, but you must hear this. Just on the other side of this wall is my workout room, okay? And I was sitting there. I was almost done with my workout, sweating like a freaking dog and all nasty. And in comes a couple and my daughter's friend. My daughter's friend's going back to college. She goes to OU or OSU. I always get confused which one. and she's buying some stuff. My wife buys and sells stuff, and some stuff for her college dorm, okay, to go back when she goes back. Her mom and dad came. I know her mom. I've met her mom. I have not met her dad, although my wife says I did. I don't remember it. I feel bad. Okay, so immediately it comes up that I said, are you still doing trucking? Because he's a trucker. And I love our truckers. I love them so much. I said, are you still doing trucking? And he says, no. And he said, the illegals put me out of business. I said, well, how? And then I actually stopped, and I started, you've heard me go nuts on this. But, so what I told him is I said, yes, they're everywhere. I said, in the panhandle of Texas, we did a sting with ICE, and 30% of all the truck drivers were illegal. In Wyoming, a sheriff did a sting, and 33% of all the illegals he pulled over were all the truckers he pulled over were illegals. Oklahoma did a sting, and the first day, within 3 hours, they had to shut it down because they filled up their lot with 7 trucks. 3 days later, they reopened, and they had 17 trucks in one day. They got just pulling them all over, and by the end of that week, all the trucker illegals were rerouting around Oklahoma. We know that they've killed, according to authorities, 3 people in Florida in Indian illegal driving. We know the authorities also say that another illegal Indian driving in Southern California killed 3. We know that another illegal Indian, according to authorities, killed a couple. I was filling in Portland, Oregon, in Thanksgiving. I said, this trucker jackknifed and killed a couple in their Subaru Outback. And I said, I bet you it's illegal. I don't know, but I said, I'll bet you. I go fill in again for Christmas and New Year's, and both times, and then guess what came out? That was a freaking illegal Indian driving that car. They are killing our freaking people, your daughter, your son. And so this couple that I'm telling you about, my daughter's friend, they're from the Dominican Republic. She was born here, but he's born in the DR. He became a Marine here, and he served this country for like 6 years. He was at Gitmo working. He was like 19 or 20, he said. But how funny is that? You go from the DR, come here, become a Marine, go back, buy the DR, in Cuba, in the Caribbean. But he said it was miserable. But he said, Chris, the illegals are everywhere. Chris, the illegals, when I pull over to truck stops, I have to stop. The Indian people will charge me $50 just to park for 10 hours because they don't like the legal people. He said, Chris, there are 10 Indians that'll be in one truck, and they are driving nonstop. I have to stop every 10 hours. It's the law. And there'll be 10 of them living in that truck, nonstop driving. He says, Chris, they've destroyed the wages. They depressed all the wages. He says, Chris, they will wear, you'll see the illegals driving truck with sandals, those like flip-flops. And I said, I've seen that. I've seen illegals pulled over that are driving their trucks. They're everywhere. Wearing flip-flops. I saw a Chinese illegal doing that. And I also told them that I just saw the other day, Breitbart reported this, 400 pounds of cocaine was being hauled. Breitbart said this, and the DHS says that the illegal truckers are driving narcotics for the narcos, all sorts of contraband all across this country under the guise of being a truck driver. I saw another one yesterday. It's all on my Twitter feed, at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrock. He was an illegal was hauling nitrous oxide or something, or nitrate or something, highly flammable. And the state trooper says, "Where's the markings on the outside of your vehicle? You're supposed to have markings." He didn't speak English. He had no idea what the guy was talking about. The other, going back to the illegals hauling 400 pounds of cocaine, they were Indian illegals. And that's exactly what I read 2 days earlier, that the illegals are hauling stuff for the cartels, acting like it's regular cargo, because it looks like it's regular cargo on the outside. I'm telling you, illegals destroy everything they're involved in when they come into this country. It is a national security threat. It is a threat of death of our lives, between drugs, narcotics, narcos, between driving unsafe on the roads because they can't read English, they don't know how to drive properly. They have depressed my friend's wages. He's out of the business because of it. I'm telling you, a freaking Marine, man. They put him out of a job. This is happening everywhere, whether it be in trucking or anything else. And here you have Mayor Jacob Frey today with the Karen being shot and killed trying to run over an ICE officer, and you have Mayor Tim Walz, and they're literally saying, get out, get the F out, which is so sick that he said that, and let us put our shroud, our cape back over us, and the evil and darkness goes on here. You just get out. Hell no. A third world country with cesspool and rot and illegals running wild? Hell no. And if you try to run us over while we're enforcing that law, thank God, and that's what I voted for, then you will get shot and you may get killed, like what happened today. Let's continue on with what else I have here. Yeah, this is the one in St. Paul I mentioned. A federal agent fired weapon after being hit by a car last month. So this just happened last month. It's not uncommon for these sick bleeps to try to go after our cops. Here is this. Woman is shot dead by ICE after trying to run officers over. An act of domestic DHS called what she did an act of domestic terrorism, yes. And the windshield, I mentioned that. The bullet went through the windshield. How does a bullet go through the windshield if you're on the side of the car and not being threatened? There's the officer right there that's in front of the car. He's the one, I believe, who shot. She went at that officer, and he shot her, and she died. Don't F with our officers, and that bullet went through that windshield because he was in front of the vehicle. That's all there is to it. And how sickening for the mayor and the governor of the city and the state to say those vile things. It's so sickening. Here's from the Wall Street Journal this morning. This is why Tim Walz is kissing the ground and thanking God that this horrible thing happened today in Minneapolis. I guarantee you he is quietly. Welfare fraud scandal. Tim Walz was brought down by a scandal hiding in plain sight. The welfare fraud scandal that led to Tim Walz to abandon his reelection bid was hiding in plain sight when he was vetted by cackling Kamala Harris. There were ample warning signs, the Journal reports today. Federal prosecutors had already charged roughly 70 people when cackling Kamala picked him to be her vice president. There were already charged 70 people with defrauding federal programs meant to fund children's meals during the pandemic. A nonpartisan legislative auditor had determined a report saying the state had failed to act on warning signs and was ill-prepared to respond. Kamala didn't care. You know why? Because Tim Walz was not a Jew, and he's white. She didn't want a Jew because her party is anti-Semitic, and she wanted somebody who's white because, like all Democrats, they think in DEI, color, DEI. And so she's like, I have to have a white guy. Remember that? I have to have a white guy who could give permission for white men to vote for me. What a sick way of thinking. It's one of the many reasons why she lost. Libs of TikTok shared this today. It's on my Twitter feed. New audit, and there's audio of it. It's a 2-minute and 7-second story that was on local Minneapolis St. Paul media on television today. But I'll just read the truncated version. Minneapolis Department of Health. So the Minneapolis Department of Health is called DHS, but that's not DHS Federal. That's Department of Health for Minneapolis, or Minnesota, excuse me. Their audit reveals employees have been fabricating documents to cover for the mismanagement of taxpayer-funded grants issued to health providers. One example shows a DHS employee using a $675,000 grant to a company without gathering any info on any services they provide. They had no idea. Here's $675,000 of our money. The employee then left Department of Health and to become a paid consultant for the same company. Here's $675,000. Rip us off. Now I'm going to quit and go work for you. That's fraud that hasn't even been touched yet in any reports. Brand new. That's why Tim Walz is glad that this horrible thing happened today with this woman getting shot and killed by ICE. Meanwhile, more fraud from a different area as well in Minnesota. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa looks to strip $1 million from a Minnesota group sharing restaurant's address. This is first on Fox today, Fox News. Republican Iowa Senator Joni Ernst is now working to strip more than $1 million of federal funds earmarked for a Somali-led Minnesota addiction recovery organization that shares an address with a Minneapolis Somali restaurant. So that's it right there. $1 million for Somali Minnesota Addiction Recovery Center that's at the same address as a restaurant, a Somali restaurant. These freaking people have been ripping us off so insanely. It's unbelievable. It's angering. It's sickening. Let's pivot to ICE in Dallas, in the area where I'm sitting right now. This is a great little read to pick on. From the Dallas Morning News today, majority arrested by ICE in Dallas in 2025 did not have criminal convictions, the Dallas Morning News finds. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because a ton of them have been charged but haven't been convicted. Because a ton of them have warrants out from Interpol. A ton of them have crimes they've committed in other countries where they came from. Others come from third world countries that have no record keeping. I want every illegal, and by the way, I don't care if they've committed a crime. They're also like, well, Trump said the worst of the worst. I don't care. This is what I voted for. I want every illegal out of here, because the next time a Democrat's in office for the president, they'll do the same thing Biden did. They will invade this country with 10 to 20 million illegals, knowing that at least half or more will stay here. And they will vote Democrat. And they will flood the areas in the blue cities, the sanctuary cities, and the sanctuary states. And they will bastardize the congressional representation of this country, giving more power to the blue states and the blue cities. That is exactly what's going to happen. This must never happen again. This must never, ever happen again. An unprecedented invasion begets an unprecedented deportation. Period. This is what I voted for. Period. Okay? Here's a woman that didn't have a criminal record or any pending, or a guy who had no criminal record or pending charges. And then to which I put, he's from El Salvador. In El Salvador? We don't know. He was one of the more than 12,000 people that Dallas ICE has arrested this year under Trump. 12,000! Yes! Yes! 62% of those arrested in the Dallas office had not been convicted of a crime. Well, how many are pending? Actually, we got that information coming up on this article in a second. I'll share with you because it's pretty revealing. But again, I don't care if they've committed a crime. They did commit a crime when they came here legally. Those who did have criminal records were more likely to have been convicted of a non-DUI traffic offense. Again, I could care less. Trump administration's crackdown has particularly disproportionate impact on Venezuelans. Good. In case you missed the news, Venezuelan Tren de Aragua people raped and killed Jocelyn Nungre in Houston. Venezuelan Tren de Aragua people killed and did vile things, spying on women on the campus at UGA. Killed Laken Riley. What's our other? The woman up in Virginia, in the D.C. area, Rachel. It starts with an M. It'll come to me in a second. I mean, all over, Venezuelans and Tren de Aragua types have raped, murdered, killed, done vile things. Tren de Aragua Venezuelans are running a multi-million-dollar racket where they're selling guns. And in Chicago, I read this in Chicago, but it's also in Nebraska. It's a Midwest ring. They're also they know how to use software to get into ATMs, and they're going around. It was like $4 million they got. More illegals here in Texas did about $4.4 million in fraudulent. It was a fraudulent gift card. I believe those were illegals. But anyways, let's go back to where we were. They mentioned the worst of the worst. I don't care if they're the worst of the worst, or the least of the least, or no records. Get out of here. 6 individual ICE officers in Dallas have arrested. Here we go. McLaughlin, the spokesperson for ICE, she says 6 individuals, ICE officers in Dallas have arrested with criminal convictions such as sexual exploitation of a minor, rape, drug trafficking. In ICE's arrest data from Trump's inauguration through mid-October, more than 70% of those arrested have previous conviction or pending criminal charges. So I'm like, no, they are, and I don't care if they have any records or not. But look, ICE arrest data from Trump's inauguration through mid-October, just more than 70% of those arrested had a previous conviction or pending criminal charges. So 70%. Again, I don't care if it's 0%. Get them out of here. They also say illegal migrants with pending charges but no convictions, more than doubled. Arrest of them. Good. If you interact with the justice system, I want you out of here like in a nanosecond. Even if you haven't, I don't care. You get out of here. But an immigration attorney said that this reflects the most dramatic shift he and other immigration attorneys have seen in the first year of Trump's second term. Yes, this is what we voted for. Now he says there's no confidence for anybody, any of these illegals, in getting a hearing, getting a chance. Now there's no confidence for anybody. Yes. And by the way, he talks about fear. I want them to be afraid. I want illegals to be afraid. I want them to leave and be afraid. Just like we would be in some other country where we're an illegal. You should be afraid. The immigration attorney says, maybe we don't arrest this person. Their criteria is this. Hey, are you here without legal status? Well, you're done. You're arrested and in detention. I voted for that. And then last but not least, someone is going to be afraid because when you're leaving for work, you don't know if you're going to come back home. And that's exactly right. I want you to be afraid if you're an illegal. You are destroying things like the trucking industry, which I spoke about, and putting our lives at risk and killing Americans, just in one industry alone. Governor Abbott. Oh, this is great because I had one of our listeners, or one of my listeners, followers, if you will, on the podcast, saying, and I can pull it up real fast here, nice guy. He disagreed with me on some stuff. We went back and forth in a good way. I'm going to pull up his Twitter handle so I can mention him because he was cool. And he was saying, the Dallas Morning News, who trusts them, this and that. I got a lot of people that commented a lot of stuff here. But here it is. He was saying that Paul Brancato, and a hat tip to Paul. We went back and forth in a nice way. He watched the podcast because he thought I was off on something. He watched it, and he says, okay, I see your point now. Here's a big follow-up, Paul, and to everybody. Today, while in Fort Worth, Governor Greg Abbott was in Fort Worth, and he was doing a press conference announcing how in his fourth term he's running for, his fourth term, the Fort Worth Police Officers Association and Dallas Police Officers Association and Sheriff, Tarrant County, all these different officials are endorsing him. So we had a press conference about that. Then in that press conference, he talked about Dallas' failure to keep AT&T in downtown Dallas. 10,000, I think, and 600 employees left downtown Dallas and are going to Plano. That's a massive failure on the City Hall, Mayor Johnson, and all the City Council. Massive failure, and the city manager. Let's continue, because this is from the Dallas Morning News today. This is great. Greg Abbott said today that Dallas leaders were responsible for AT&T's decision to relocate its headquarters downtown to Dallas to Plano. And he's right. City leaders were responsible. He made the remarks. He said that he blamed what he called the city's failure to fully fund and staff its police department and contain a homeless problem downtown. City police, Dallas police, are behind by 600 officers. Last year, the city voted in charter amendments that set a baseline of 4,000 officers. They are 600 short today. That's one of the reasons he said they left, because people are not safe downtown, or at least they don't feel safe downtown. They're not. They're not. Abbott said it's the responsibility of local leaders to fully fund local law enforcement. In response to a question about voter-approved charter amendments requiring the police department to boost its officers' staffing, Abbott said, because Dallas did not do that, did not fully staff its police, AT&T is now moving out of downtown Dallas. I agree. Homeless enforcement is non-existent. People are crapping everywhere. Open drug use, as the Dallas Morning News said, you walk even a short distance downtown, you smell weed everywhere. And weed's not even legal here. It's everywhere when you go to New York, everywhere in Chicago. But it shouldn't be everywhere here because it's not legal here. Mayor Eric Johnson, here we go. The fake Republican, the thin-skinned fake Republican who's never afraid to use the race card, to play the race card like a good leftist. Johnson said the city's economic strengths are what had drawn... Listen to this. The Dallas Morning News says, Mayor Johnson said the city's economic strengths are what had drawn AT&T to Dallas in 2008 from San Antonio. The city's economic strengths. So clearly, Mr. Mayor, the city's economic strengths, lack of economic strength, lack of safety are what caused AT&T to leave. I got so much more on this, but listen to this. The mayor continues this lie. Mayor Johnson. He's like, I have to make up some kind of BS excuse for why I lost the biggest employer that I'm aware of in downtown Dallas. What excuse can I make up? Oh, the AT&T building, it's horizontal. I'm sorry, it's a vertical. AT&T wants horizontal. That is the biggest stupid BS thing in the world. Well, they don't want vertical anymore. After almost 20 years, after 17 years, suddenly they go, we don't want to go up and down. We're going to go out. This guy is freaking using play school romper room excuses. This is unbelievable. And this guy's the mayor. Yeah, Johnson says the city's economic strengths are what had drawn AT&T to Dallas in 2008, and its decision to move was the result of company leadership favoring a large horizontal suburban-style campus. Yeah, right. Last year, voters approved charter amendments that set a baseline of 4,000 officers. We went over that here. The city council's backing and staffing shortages will take time to close as departments nationwide struggle and attract and keep officers. That's because of St. George Floyd, blessed be whose name, who died from a drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police. Last but not least, also from Channel 8 today. Downtown Dallas in limbo as AT&T plans exit. They talk about 2008 when the AT&T relocated from San Antonio to North Texas. The loss of AT&T, they say, which employs 10,690 people in the city of Dallas, could result in a significant economic loss to the neighborhood. Significant economic loss. A BCG study commissioned by Downtown Dallas, Inc., before they knew AT&T had been leaving touring spaces for Plano. This study found that property values in downtown would decrease 30% if AT&T left. Downtown property values would decrease by 30% if AT&T left the neighborhood, potentially leading to a $62 million loss in annual property tax revenue. Great job, Mr. Mayor and City Council and City Manager. Great job, guys. I mentioned this to you twice in the past couple days, and here it is in the Wall Street Journal. They're re-reporting, the Channel 8 is what the Wall Street Journal reported, which I told you about 2-3 days in a row now. Wall Street Journal reports Dallas downtown has the second highest vacancy rate behind Seattle. You guys, we are as vacant in downtown Dallas as Seattle is. We have the second highest rate of vacancy for any downtown other than Seattle. 27.2% vacancy rate in the offices downtown. We are effed. Also, the Dallas Stars are reportedly looking at going to Plano. There you go, y'all. No good. Tampon Tim, his final humiliation. This is from the Daily Mail. Excruciating gaffe, shameless excuses, calamitous VP cameo. His wife, Gwen, was close to tears when he came out and said he's not running for a third term. And where are we? Let me play a little bit of that for you because it's just too fun to pass up with this poor fool. Hold on. With this poor fool. Where is he? Oh, I guess I lost him. Nah, that's okay. All right, well, here we go. Let's do this. We will move on, but yeah, I had a little bit of audio of him, announcing his resignation, lashing out, and all that kind of stuff. And his wife doing the turn the page thing. That mentally ill woman. Okay. Here's more. Somali fraud scam masterminds humiliating fall from grace as judge orders Porsche and millions seized. This is another reason why the mayor is grateful that this woman got shot and killed today with ICE, because it takes him off the front page. A ringleader of the Minnesota welfare scam, the $250 million welfare scam, $250 million from Feed the Children or whatever it was. She literally just had she's a white lady. She's the head of the snake and the rest of the Somali people. Amy Bach, 44 years old, 57 people convicted so far. She was ordered to forfeit $3.5 million from a Bank of America account in the name of her nonprofit Feeding Our Future, along with $180,000 in her personal account. She also was ordered to give up her Porsche Panorama. What's that brand new? $120,000? And around 60 laptops, iPads, and iPhones, around 3 addresses, along with diamond bracelet, earrings, and Louis Vuitton purse and backpack. She was found guilty in March of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, bribery, conspiracy to commit federal program bribery. This is why they prefer darkness, the shroud of darkness in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Minnesota, because there is so much vile fraud. We got our balls back. We finally got that tanker. You know how there's been a tanker that's been in the news for like 2.5 weeks? The Bella 1, which has changed its name suddenly to the Marinera. Marinera. This tanker, which left Venezuela with tons of crude on it, after it left and we started pursuing it within like several days, it literally went out. They went out and they painted a completely crappy looking Russian flag on the side of the vessel. You can't do that in international waters. You got to declare it before you go. So they totally fraudulently said they're Russian. We finally got it. It was, I think it was near, was it near, it was way, way, way up there. Iceland. It was by Iceland, guys. And so it went from Venezuela and it went just south of Iceland. We finally boarded it today. And I don't know if you've seen the video. It's like the infrared video, and it was badass. It showed our choppers coming in. We had warplanes escorting and going to make sure, because the Russians had a submarine, and they also had, I think, a second ship to protect it here. The Russian Navy ship and submarine began escorting the ship to try to keep us off. And the submarine had been communicating with the tanker over the past 3 days, the Wall Street Journal says. Some of the officials had said the Army's 160th Special Operations Regiment, nicknamed the Night Stalkers. They were also on the Venezuela hit. They played a prominent role in seizing the ship. The U.S. also brought in P-8 Poseidon sub-Hunter aircraft, F-35 jet fighters, AC-130J gunships to support the boarding operation. We boarded that thing, and we took that freaking vessel, and it's headed to the United States, where that crude is going to be sold to us. We're going to keep it. Maybe Trump will give some back to Venezuela. I don't know. But it was sanctioned. They weren't supposed to be selling it. It's going to screw China. It's going to screw Russia. And I think that's great. We got our balls back. We're boarding ships and taking them back, even if it takes 2-3 weeks to get on it. We also took another vessel. This is an empty one. It's a tanker called Sophia. It was in the Caribbean Sea. It was empty, but we took it back. I think that was bound for Iran or Russia, or it's one of those, or China. So we're screwing these bleeps. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. And also this, U.S. to control Venezuelan oil sales indefinitely. The oil will be taken by storage ships and transported to the U.S. We're going to keep 15%. I think Venezuela keeps some. I don't know about the rest. But this is great. We got our balls back, and I couldn't be happier. All right. I think that's it for now. Whew. I feel like I just had a baby. I got to